Picture this. You step into your garden one morning, coffee in hand, ready to check on your thriving pepper plants, only to find them looking like they've given up on life entirely. The leaves are wilting, the stems look questionable, and your heart sinks as you realize your beloved peppers are in serious trouble. But here's the thing that separates successful gardeners from the rest. Knowing that most garden disasters aren't death sentences, they're simply urgent calls for help. What if I told you there are proven, fast-acting techniques that can literally bring your pepper plants back from what looks like certain doom? Today, you're about to discover the emergency garden hacks that can transform your plant disasters into comeback stories. The first skill every gardener needs to master is reading the distress signals your pepper plants are desperately trying to send you. Wilting leaves are perhaps the most dramatic cry for help, but they're not always what they seem. When you see those once proud leaves drooping like they're melting in the heat, resist the urge to immediately flood them with water. True wilting from dehydration happens gradually and affects the entire plant uniformly, while sudden localized wilting often signals root problems, disease, or even overwatering that's drowning the roots and preventing proper nutrient uptake. Discolored stems tell an entirely different story and require your immediate attention. When you notice darkening, blackening, or unusual soft spots along the stem, you're looking at potential fungal infections or bacterial diseases that can spread rapidly through your entire plant. However, slight browning at soil level might simply indicate natural woody development in mature plants. The key is understanding the difference between healthy aging and pathological change. Press gently on suspicious areas. Healthy stems should feel firm and resilient, while diseased tissue often feels mushy or hollow. Stunted growth represents perhaps the most insidious problem because it develops slowly and can have multiple underlying causes. When your pepper plants suddenly stop growing despite adequate water and apparent health, they're typically struggling with nutrient deficiencies, pH imbalances, or pest pressure that's not immediately visible. This is where many gardeners make critical mistakes by applying random fertilizers or treatments without understanding the root cause, often making the problem significantly worse. This is where many gardeners make critical mistakes by applying random fertilizers or treatments without understanding the root cause, often making the problem significantly worse. Every serious gardener needs an emergency response kit, and honestly, the foundation of plant rescue starts with understanding why Epsom salts deserve a permanent place in your garden shed. Magnesium sulfate, which most folks know as Epsom salts, provides immediately available magnesium that pepper plants desperately need for chlorophyll production and overall cellular function. When your peppers show yellowing between leaf veins, while the veins themselves remain green, you're witnessing magnesium deficiency in real time. Dissolving 1 tablespoon of Epsom salts in a gallon of water creates an emergency foliar spray that can begin reversing this deficiency within just a few days. pH meters represent your most valuable diagnostic tool because they reveal the hidden chemistry that controls whether your plants can actually access the nutrients in your soil. Pepper plants thrive in slightly acidic to neutral soil with a pH between 6 and 7, but when soil becomes too acidic or alkaline, essential nutrients become chemically locked away from plant roots. This creates the frustrating situation where you're providing plenty of fertilizer, but your plants are essentially starving because they can't access what's available. A quality digital pH meter eliminates the guesswork and allows you to make precise corrections. Sharp, clean pruning shears become surgical instruments in plant rescue operations, but knowing when to cut and when to resist requires understanding plant energy dynamics. Removing diseased, damaged, or dying tissue prevents the spread of problems and redirects the plant's limited energy toward healthy growth. However, overpruning a stressed plant can deliver the final blow by removing too much photosynthetic capacity when the plant needs every healthy leaf to recover. When you discover bone-dry plants that have been suffering from drought stress, your instinct might be to flood them with water, but this approach can actually shock the root system and cause additional damage. Instead, begin with gentle, deep watering that allows the soil to slowly rehydrate. Start by adding water slowly around the base of the plant, allowing it to soak in completely before adding more. This gradual approach prevents water from running off parched soil and ensures that moisture reaches the entire root zone without overwhelming the stressed root system. Shade therapy represents one of the most underutilized emergency treatments for stressed pepper plants. When plants are struggling, they're using tremendous energy just trying to survive, and full sun exposure forces them to work even harder to prevent water loss through their leaves. Creating temporary shade using shade cloth, old bed sheets, or even strategically placed garden furniture gives your plants the breathing room they need to focus their energy on recovery rather than survival. This technique is particularly crucial during heat waves or immediately after transplanting. Soil amendment during crisis situations requires a delicate touch because shocked plants can't handle sudden changes in their root environment. When nutrient deficiency is clearly the problem, gentle organic amendments like well-aged compost worked lightly into the top layer of soil provide slow-release nutrition without burning sensitive roots. Avoid synthetic fertilizers during the acute recovery phase, as they can overwhelm a compromised root system and actually set back recovery. Establishing consistent watering schedules prevents the dangerous bounce-back effect that, honestly, kills more recovering plants than the original problem ever did. Many gardeners, feeling relieved to see their plants responding to emergency treatment, end up swinging between extremes of drought and flooding. Pepper plants recovering from stress really need steady, reliable moisture that penetrates deeply but never waterlogs the soil. You'll want to check soil moisture by inserting your finger about 2 inches deep. If it feels dry at that level, it's time to water thoroughly until you see drainage from the bottom of containers, or until the soil is moistened to a depth of 6 to 8 inches in your garden beds. Targeted feeding during the recovery phase means understanding that different nutrients serve different functions in plant recovery. Nitrogen supports new leaf growth and overall vigor, but, too much can actually delay fruit production and make plants more susceptible to disease. Phosphorus encourages strong root development and helps plants recover from transplant shock, while potassium strengthens cell walls and improves disease resistance. A balanced, gentle organic fertilizer applied according to package directions gives steady nutrition without overwhelming your recovering plants. Pest control becomes absolutely critical because stressed plants emit chemical signals that attract insects and make them more susceptible to disease. So, inspect your recovering peppers daily, paying special attention to the undersides of leaves where aphids, spider mites, and whiteflies often set up their first colonies. Early intervention with insecticidal soap or horticultural oil can really prevent minor pest issues from turning into major setbacks during this vulnerable recovery period. Recognizing successful recovery takes a little patience and an understanding of what healthy pepper plants should look like. New growth shows up first as tiny, bright green shoots emerging from leaf joints or the growing tips. These new leaves should be vibrant green, with no yellowing, curling, or spotting. Vigorous root development, while not something you can see directly, becomes apparent as the plant's overall color improves and growth really starts to pick up. Healthy pepper plants have sturdy stems that can support their own weight and leaves that stand upright instead of drooping. When your revived peppers finally start producing fruit, try to resist the urge to let them carry every pepper all the way to maturity. Harvesting early peppers while they're still young and tender actually encourages continued production and keeps the plant from exhausting itself trying to ripen too many fruits at once. This kind of strategic harvesting extends your growing season and ensures better overall yields from your recovered plants. Preventative measures are, honestly, your best bet for making sure you never have to perform plant CPR again. This means setting up regular inspection routines, keeping care schedules consistent, and understanding your local growing conditions well enough to spot problems before they turn into crises. Keep detailed garden records, note when problems happened, what treatments you applied, and how quickly your plants responded. This information becomes super valuable for preventing future disasters and fine-tuning your emergency response techniques. Remember, every plant you save makes you a more skilled and confident gardener. The techniques you've learned here will stick with you throughout your gardening journey, turning what could have been devastating losses into stories of successful recovery. If this guide helped you save your pepper plants or gave you the confidence to tackle garden emergencies, make sure to subscribe to Smart Garden for more life-saving garden techniques, and share this with fellow gardeners who might be facing their own plant crises. Your garden success stories inspire others to keep growing.